Magic 87.6 morning, Andrew on the radio, and we welcome him back for 2021. It is Matthew Dickerson. Morning.
Hey, good morning. Great to be back for 2021. I've been missing you, Andrew.
Oh, really? I could hear the sincerity in your voice, Matt.
Oh, look, I don't mind who I talk to technology about, so I've really been missing talking about technology with you.
I was waiting for I've been missing you, Andrew, like a hole in the head.
I wouldn't say that about you, Andrew.
No, but others would, Matt.
Not while you're on the phone, anyway.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. All right, let's talk about wireless charging. That's more important.
It is important and exciting, but people get a bit frustrated with their wireless charging because they've got to sit it down on a certain charging pad or sit it on a little stand. And Xiaomi, which is a phone company that not many people have heard of, they're the third largest manufacturer in the world. And it's spelled Xiaomi, so pronounced Xiaomi. And they believe that people don't want to muck around sitting their phone down on this silly wireless charging pad. So they've created this My Air charge technology that allows you to charge your phone from meters away. So as long as you're in the zone, if you're in basically an area of a couple of square meters, you have your phone or even your watch or even your notebook will get to that point where you'll just have it sitting in that area and it will basically work out that there's a device in there. It does a thing called beam forming where it actually directs the beams of power at that device once it detects it there and then charges up the device. Now, it's only low power. It's only 5 watts, so that's a slower charger than your plug-in charger or even your normal wireless charging. For example, wireless charging can get up to 20 watts now, but pretty exciting that you just have to be somewhere in the area. I don't know what it does to the human in that area. That might be another question, another discussion altogether. But presumably they'll do enough testing that it'll be safe, for most people anyway.
I used to use a wireless charger with my last phone, Matt, and seriously, it was the most frustrating thing ever because I was probably like a lot of people. You thought you put it on and you charge it overnight, and then all of a sudden you'd wake up and you find you're down to 13%. Yeah. It was the most frustrating thing ever. It's still it's hardly being used because it's still in a box here, and if you want one, I got one for $5. I'll sell it to you.
And you're right, that is a bit of the frustration with wireless charging. You've got to sit it just in the right spot. Apple have tried to address that with their MagSafe charging, which allows a magnet to snap it on there, but the magnet's a bit of an issue for people with pacemakers, so that's not perfect either. But this technology, once they prove that it's safe, then this technology is pretty exciting.
Don't start me with the conspiracy first chat.
Yeah, why not? Someone else is going to do it, so we might as well start the way.
I don't know. All right, space, the final frontier, but now it's got a price tag on it.
Yeah, just a miserable little $71 million. There's 3 people that are going into space. They're going up on a SpaceX rocket. They'll be on the space station, International Space Station, for 8 days. And all they've got to do is pay $71 million each. Oh, there's a small matter of a 15-week training program as well to make sure they're at the right level of physical fitness. They'll be led by a former NASA astronaut, so there'll be a proper astronaut on board as well, and 3 amateurs will be on there, and they'll go up and have a bit of a play around the space station. And it's a fair bit of money to be able to pay to float around in space, but if you've got that kind of money and it's burning a hole in your pocket, then why not?
No, I'm sure you'd be able to buy both of us a ticket then, Matt. You'd be lining up for that.
Yeah, look, there's some issues with going to space. There's a pretty high death rate of people going to space on the initial...
look, formalities. That's just a minor formality. It's just think of the experience at the end. It's kind of like when you go on that holiday destination that you don't want to go to, but yet you have the time of your life at the end of it, and then you have those stories that you tell for the next 20 years. That's what this is.
Yeah, that's right. I reckon you could probably tell a few stories in the ongoing days after that, before you had your early death after being in space for a little bit of time. But it sounds pretty exciting.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, being a full-time gamer is an aspiration for a lot of people, but if you got $6 million, you could move to America and do it.
You could, and it just defeats my argument. I keep saying to my son, get off your game, son, and go and do something useful. You've got to have a career. You've got to be able to make some money. And now all those arguments start to fall over. The Americans aren't great in the worldwide gaming scheme. So some of the American teams are paying some big money, and $6 million is the latest it's been paid. The particular individual, Hugh Shou Chi, is a decorated Taiwanese superstar in the world of gaming, and he's just been paid $6 million for a 2-year contract to move to America and be a full-time gamer in America. So, people would pay to be a full-time gamer, not be paid. So I think there's a fair bit of competition out there. And League of Legends is the game that people play, or the most popular game. Lots of games they play. But this is the big one across the world. And there are some recruitment drives going on, the same as players are paid huge amounts of money to go to a different soccer team, a baseball team, whatever it might be. That's what's happening in the world of gaming, which is quite incredible. Most of the good gamers are from Asia, and a lot of those are starting very young. Their parents are not like me, where they're saying to their kids, go and play some games, go and work out a career for yourself. But they're treating it like a full-time professional sport. They're practicing, some of these people, 18 hours a day. The typical day for some of these gamers leading up to big competitions is they start playing at midday in their training, and then will go through till 5 a.m. the next day, and then obviously go to bed early in the morning and have a bit of a rest before they start it all over again the next day. Even the standard wages, not for the leader of the team like the $6 million, but even the standard wages for some of these players in the team is $500,000 per year to be part of that team. It's US dollars as well. So it's certainly a different area. It's certainly attractive for people, but the number of people watching these has just started to go through the roof. And if you look at a quick example out of the US, for example, when they did a survey back in 2015, 38.2 million people watched at least one esports event. By 2020, that number had jumped to 57.2 million. And if you look at the final championship in October last year, 46 million people watched that World Championship event. So there's some pretty big viewing audiences across the world, which is why teams can afford to pay this kind of money.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy. I see it every time I go and visit the wife's nephews. And seriously, most of their viewing now on any form of social media, YouTube, whatever, is watching other people play games.
Crazy.
To find strategy and all the rest of it. It is absolutely crazy. So I'm like you, I've got to find a new argument now.
That's right.
It is absolute. All right, now tying your shoelaces is tying your shoelaces, but Nike's changing the whole game, aren't they, Mark?
Well, this whole tech segment is all about me changing what I tell my kids. When the kids come home with their joggers on and they try and rip off their shoes straight away, I say, no, undo the shoelaces before you take your shoes off. Nike's heard all those parents across the world saying that to all these kids. So they've created the hands-free Go Fly Ease shoes. And they've got two really interesting bits of technology in them. For a start, they've got a little nub at the base of the shoe at the back. So it's actually designed for you to put your foot on the back of the shoe and lift your foot out. The same thing I tell my kids not to do all the time. They're actually saying that's exactly how these shoes are designed to go. But the other thing they do is they've got a 30-degree angle that is created when you slip your foot out. And it's what's called a bistable hinge. And effectively what that means is that when you put your foot on the back and you lift your foot out, it sits there at 30 degrees, so it's designed for you to put your foot back in there when you come along to put it in. So they're a hands-free shoe. No shoelaces on there. They keep your foot in with pressure. Designed with that 30-degree tilt to slip your foot in, and then when you take it out, you put your foot on the back and they pop up. So we thought shoes and joggers in particular had gone as far as they possibly could, but this is another innovation in shoe design.
You know what this is? This is the Back to the Future shoe.
That's exactly right. You're spot on.
Don't you remember when Marty Jr., when they put the shoes on and they were Nikes? It's only taken Nike another 40 years to make them.
That's right. Well, maybe COVID drove it because people didn't want to touch their shoelaces. Maybe that's a good excuse from Nike. I'm not sure. But you're right. This is really that sort of Back to the Future shoe.
Yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. You know, it helps for me, the wider girth man, so to speak, to be able to do the basic functionalities. I'll say it.
Well, they did actually mention in there that not only is it so that parents can stop nagging their kids, but for people that do have some mobility problems, then that makes it a bit easier for them just to slip their shoes on. Yeah.
Now, on the old iPhones, a lot of people were a bit angry and they took it off, but apparently, according to Apple, it could be making a comeback.
Well, it's not according to Apple, but some rumours that are going around it might be making a comeback. Apple, of course, always very tight-lipped about anything, and it's in Apple's best interest for the rumours to go around and for people to talk about Apple rather than Apple talking about Apple. So the old Touch ID with the home button on the old iPhones was great. When they went to the Face ID, they removed Touch ID altogether. And some people preferred the Touch ID. In fact, some people kept their older phones because they wanted to stick with their old fingerprint ID. Samsung have had the ability for a couple of years now for Face ID to work, but also for a fingerprint scan to work through the screen. There's been a couple of little issues with that. It hasn't been perfect, but it's actually basically been working. Apple have rejected that concept altogether, but now with COVID-19, where your face scan doesn't always work because of a face mask, they're looking at bringing back some form of fingerprint recognition and probably through the screen with an improved version, is what the rumours are saying, over the Samsung version to be able to let people start using their fingerprint again.
Yeah, right. I actually tried one of those iPhones, Matt, that actually had the Face ID.
Yep.
And I didn't upgrade to one because it's out there and looked at me and went, no, no one could have a face like yours. No, it just kept rejecting me.
And that was without the face mask. Imagine with the face mask.
I know, right? I know. It doesn't get any better.